How many places do you know of where you can go fishing and it's the only place in America, maybe in the world, that you can do this one thing? Well, we're taking you to that place on this week's episode. It's going to be a fun half hour. Glad you're with us. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hi everybody, I'd like to welcome you into this week's show. I'm excited about it because we are coming to you from that place. The only place in America, maybe in the world, where you can catch redfish, a saltwater species of fish, in fresh water. Just over my shoulder, there's the power plant. This is Calaveras Lake. It's located just southeast of San Antonio, Texas. It's one of a pair of lakes, Calaveras and Browning, that sit side by side, where the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department stocks a catchable population of redfish. Now we're going to explain to you how they can live in fresh water and how this all came about. It's a very unique story coming up in the next half hour. Now to do that, help us catch these fish, I've brought along the Blazer Bay 2420 GTS. This is a fully rigged bay boat rigged out by my good friends at Waypoint Marine in Corpus Christi, Texas. Jared Poole and his crew do a great job of rigging out with all the gear, all the goodies, all the toys, including my Mercury 350 Verado hanging off the back of it. We're going to put this in fresh water, Calaveras Lake, and try to catch a few redfish. And while we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays right where you live, both saltwater and freshwater. Right now, the Blazer Bay goes down the boat ramp into Calaveras Lake. Next time you see me, I'll be out there fishing. Right now, let's get things started back at the studio with your weekend planner.
These salooner tables are showing fair game fish activity both days this weekend. The best times during the day to have a line in the water begin at 8:58 on Saturday and 9:30 on Sunday. Evening activity picks up around 9:05 on Saturday and 9:41 on Sunday. Look for the sun to rise at 6:53 and set at 5:32. Evenings will be pretty bright with the moon at 92% visibility. Stick with us to check out all the current fishing reports from throughout the area. Also, one of the most liked anglers in the country, Shaw Grigsby, stops by to answer your Ask the Pro questions. See you in a bit.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Motor Guide's wireless and easy-to-use XI3, Waypoint Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist, Strike King, Taiwan On, Nitro Performance Fishing Boats, because champions aren't born, they're made.
There is you a freshwater reservoir redfish. Well, we've got ourselves parked down here in some fairly deep water in front of the dam, and I saw a bunch of fish on my graph. Got a couple of bites, and there's one. Does not feel big at all, just a little red, little rat red. Well, there is you a freshwater reservoir redfish. Not a big one at all, not a keeper, just a little rat red. But it is a redfish out of Lake Calaveras. Welcome back, everybody. I'm gonna have to dig that one out of him, but let me give you just a little information about where we are. Calaveras and Browning are side by side down southeast of San Antonio, just barely. And Calaveras is the bigger of the two. It's about 3,500 surface acres, and Browning is about 1,300, something like that. Both built in the 60s, got 50, 60 feet of water out in the middle. And these redfish that are stocked in here are stocked by the millions every year. This redfish stocking program actually was experimented with back in the 50s, but it started in earnest in the 80s, and they've been stocked almost every year since then. A bunch of million redfish have been stocked in these lakes, and actually Texas tried this experiment in 29 different lakes over the years, and these were the two survivors. These were the only two that had the right conditions to hold freshwater redfish, or to allow redfish to live in freshwater. And I'll explain what those conditions are coming up soon. I will tell you this though, they do grow huge in here. We were just by some kayak anglers, and a few of them were catching some fish, throwing lipless rattle and crankbaits. You can see a couple of those fish there. In fact, that one is a pretty good one. That's about a 28, 29 inch redfish, that bigger of the two right there. The lake record here is 30 pounds, a 41 inch redfish caught by a friend of mine, Manny Martinez, who guides here. I'll give you that information a little bit later. But to get this one out, release this fish, and we'll see what else happens here. There's some other species of fish in here. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll catch one. We'll see what happens here at Calaveras.
Hey, Colleen and Tiberius fishing off the dock here at Veterans Park Pond in Jinx. So the fishing is pretty quiet today, except for all the noise from the highway nearby. But you know what? The activity on this body of water, and also the Leash Youth Pond Park in Oklahoma City, is two metro areas that the fishing will get really good on when those two start their winter trout stocking programs on December 1. Now 6 other areas started the winter trout stockings on November 1st. So have already received some plants. They'll continue to stock those areas frequently over the next few months, and that continues to be places like Carl Etling, Lake Watonga, Roberts Cave, Blue Water. Now you can catch those trout on small spinners, small spoons. Crappie fishing continues to be really good in Oklahoma, a lot of different places. We talked about this time of year, they start really getting tight. The water cools, it just continues to get that much better. Gary White, Phil Harris, and John Meyer had a really good outing recently on Lake Eufaula, fishing the docks at Dutchess Creek. Gary said that most of the fish came on baby shad and itty bits, so artificials fishing around those docks. And Gary also said you can't catch them if you don't go.
There we go, I got him. That feels like a catfish. He's kind of turning, spinning like a catfish. Catfish, big old catfish. All right, there's your blue. Slip the net under him. There we go. Well, if you can't catch redfish, catch a big old fat blue cat. Look at the size of that fish right there. And that bait hook got him right in the corner of the mouth. There we go. All right, there's you a nice Calaveras blue cat right there. So, if you come here, there's actually 2 primary game fish species that live in the lake. You've got the stocked redfish that are stocked here every year by the sometimes millions and can be caught pretty much year-round. And then there's a tremendous native population of channel and blue catfish. That's a blue right there. And a good size one. Look how fat. Would you look at the belly on that fish. That fish is eating. These fish are eating shad. See you, buddy. And we've seen just clouds and clouds of shad driving around here. Just big balls of it. In fact, I'll show you what some of it looks like on my Lowrance HDS Live. That's kind of how we found the spot we're fishing in right now. It's just driving around. The other cool thing about this lake that I've noticed is that it's a great bank fishing lake. If you don't have a boat, people are all the time emailing us through our website and asking us, where can we go if we don't have a boat? Calaveras is one spot you definitely can. There's access to this lake in several locations all the way around, and Bronig, right next door to it, is the exact same way. So if you don't have a boat and want to just bring your family and drive down here, the place is owned by an electric company, by an energy company. So it is controlled with parks and the hours you can get in and out. You'll have to check the website for all the details on that. But I think you can keep 3 redfish a day over 20 inches. And then I'm sure it's just the normal statewide link limit on both the channel and the blue catfish. All right, well, nice fish. Anyway, let's see what else happens here. You never know what you're going to catch on Calaveras. Hang with us. Quick backstory on these redfish. How can a saltwater species of fish live in fresh water? Had to go to live bait. It's the only way I've been able to get a bite. There's a bite right there, swimming it along the bottom. There's one. Gonna be another small one, it looks like. He's not fighting me very hard. Now he's fighting me a little better, but that's not going to be a big one. It's all right though. That's another red. Well, it looks like we're going to be relegated to catching these small ones because I just don't have the time to dedicate to try to figure out where all the big ones are. Boy, they are getting it down there deep too. Let me give you the quick backstory on these redfish. How can a saltwater species of fish live in fresh water, you might ask? Well, one thing is they're born and reared in brackish water along all of our shorelines and coasts. What I mean by that is they spawn in the back bays and in the canals and cuts, not out on the ocean or the Gulf. They're hatched there, they're raised there, they grow up in that water, and then they go out to deeper water, out to the Atlantic and to the Gulf of Mexico to become big bull redfish. But while they're small, the salinity in those back bays is constantly changing. Sometimes it'll be real salty, salinity real high, but then sometimes after big rains and big floods, those back bays become completely fresh water. And so the species has learned to adapt to that, and they can absolutely live in fresh water. It's also interesting when they stock these fish, what they do is they bring them in these trucks from their hatchery in Palacios, Texas, and they'll put them in those trucks, truck them here, but before they just dump them in the water, it's salt water in the trucks, and so they gradually mix it with lake water here from Calaveras and Brawdig over about a 4-hour period until that water in those trucks is completely fresh water. Then they release them. All it takes is about 4 hours, and these fish can acclimate to this fresh water with no problem. So again, they thrive here. It's a put and take fishery. They're here just for recreational purposes to catch. They don't spawn. Well, they do spawn, but they don't hatch and they don't reproduce here, and so they're stocked annually.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you once again by the good folks at MC Ranch. Not only do they offer great whitetail and exotic hunting, but you'll have a shot at a double-digit bass in one of their stocked lakes. Now this week we're going to start with smallmouth fishing. Traditionally in the fall, the smallies will move to the shallows and be much easier to catch. And the two best smallmouth lakes in Texas right now are Texoma and Lake Belton. You'll approach them pretty much the same. Look for drops in about 5 to 8 feet of water with some good sized rocks nearby. You'll also want to look where the bigger rocks transition to the smaller rocks and big flats. Start with things like your topwaters early, then you can move to your spinnerbaits and Cincos. But don't forget, a treble hooked hard jerk bait is a great bait to throw in the fall for these smallmouths. Now at Lake of the Pines, the cold weather is also going to influence what the crappie do. Now you can catch the black crappie on just about any timbered brush pile out there. But if you want to catch the big whites, the ones you're really looking for, you want to look to the tall timbers in about 20 feet of water, and they'll be about 12 feet down. Drop your minnows and your crappie jigs on them. You'll catch some of those Lake of the Pines crappie. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by the MC Ranch. Be sure and look us up, Lone Star Lakes, on Facebook.
Hey folks, Captain Greg Varm here for this week's Fox Southwest Outdoors Report. Hey, we're going to start this week's Upper Texas Coast Report in Sabine. I just got off the phone with Captain Mike Cacchiotti. He said the water temp is 69 degrees and flounder fishing is spectacular at Sabine Pass. Captain Mike is slamming the flatfish on white gulp bounced along the bottom. Hey, now the redfish, they're over on the Louisiana shoreline attacking red shad down south lures. Captain Mike Cacchiotti says lots of bird action in the middle of the lake and nice size specks are under them. Hey, now let's move to my home waters, Galveston Bay. I tell you, we went from summer weather straight to winter, at least for a little while, and the flounder run is on fire. Pelican Island, around the Cedars and the Coast Guard Station are the two smoking hot spots for the flatfish. Now the redfish, hey, both slots and big bulls are along both the north and south jetties. Live shrimp or live mullet, free lined, are slamming these bronze beauties. Hey, West Galveston Bay, speckled trout under the birds. Hey, fishing is great along the upper Texas Gulf Coast. Lots of great things are happening here, and if you want to get out there, give me a call. Hey, flounder gigging will open back on December 1st, and I have a few select weekday dates still available. Give me a call, shoot me an email, and let's go fishing. I'm Captain Greg Varm. I'll see you next week.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Mercury, Go Boldly. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Balls Out, made in the USA. Heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
You know, I had heard about the catfishing here at Calaveras, that it is a great catfish lake. Here's a bite. He's got it. Got him. Oh, that's a better pull. I don't know what it is, but he's running out there deep. Not sure what this is. He's not fighting. He's fighting really funny. Catfish, big old catfish. Well, this is going to be a catfish day, it looks like. Big old blue cat. Well, man. Look at that dude. What a great fish. Well, you might want to just come here and go catfishing if you can catch something like that. Look at that. Yeah, there we go. Well, we've managed to catch little redfish and big catfish. Very unexpected, but hey, this is making something out of nothing. Here, listen to him. What do you say? Man, you know, I had heard about the catfishing here at Calaveras for a lot of years, just like the redfishing, that it is a great catfish lake. I'm gonna let that one go back. Man. So, yeah, if you just bring some cut bait or some live bait or some bait shrimp, and just fling it out here under a bobber and set it down there fairly deep or let it sit on the bottom, you can catch one of these things. Looks like the catfish are what's biting. I have seen several fishermen catch some of these redfish and some nice ones. I mentioned earlier the guy in the kayak that had one 28, 29 inches. I saw a couple of other kayak guys that had great big ones like that. They're just trolling lipless rattling crankbaits around. And then yesterday evening, right before I loaded the boat, a guy had his limit of oversized, over 20-inch redfish. So I know they can be caught. This is my first time here. I am not a local. I don't really know what I'm doing a lot here, so I'm just kind of out here winging it a little bit. And I can catch these little small redfish, the little rat reds, a lot. I've caught a bunch of them, but the big ones are just eluding me. But anyway, it's a good lake. I want to talk about the water clarity here. It's a little strange. I did not expect this, but the water's just gin clear here. You can see down 5-6 feet, something like that. And the other thing is these fish are highly pressured. They get a lot of traffic. You can catch them. You've just got to hit it on the right day. But wow, that's a nice catfish. I'll take that fish right there any day of the week.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with your Fox Sports Louisiana Outdoor Report, coming to you from Cajun Paradise, right here in Hackberry, Louisiana. We're going to start out in Hackberry on Lake Calcasieu. Tell you what, we're in a full fall pattern. Lots of trout getting caught underneath the birds. The birds aren't working. Live shrimp over your oyster reefs, West Cove area, south end of Big Lake, also Turner's Bay. Redfish, tell you what, showing up everywhere. Gulf jetties, big bull reds, cracked crab, cut mullet best. Let's switch over to freshwater right now. Toledo Bend, your crappie are starting to move out to a little deeper water right now. They're getting caught on shiners and jigs, and I tell you what, bass action picking up early and late and throughout the day with these cooler temperatures. Most of the fish are in 10 to 12 foot of water right now. Like I said, shallow diving crankbaits or soft plastic Texas rig worms seems to be the key there for old Cajun Phil. Captain Kevin Broussard saying happy fishing, may God bless, and we're going to see you right here next week.
You can always watch our latest episode on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Catch up on past episodes and learn about fishing techniques and new gear at our how-to page. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for new fishing videos every day. Simply search for Fox Sports Outdoors and click the like button on Facebook and the follow button on Twitter. And watch a new episode every week on any device by downloading the free Waypoint TV app on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Request our free 2019 fishing guide at orangebeach.com. Lose, feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland, the best in bass and crappie lures, heads to tails. Glacier Glove, stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment, where viewers get expert insights from professional insiders. Terry wants to know, what is the most favorite day of fishing that you have ever had? For the answer, we asked MLF angler Shaw Grigsby.
I have some unbelievable memories of taking my grandson fishing and watching him catch fish. And even last week, we're up there and he's catching them every cast. To me, that's a favorite day. I took my daughter and son one day, and my daughter almost got jerked overboard by a 7-pounder. That's one of my favorite days ever. And even one day when we weren't catching that many, my son is real serious. He's on the side of the boat fishing, and my daughter's in the back seat of the boat, and she starts spinning around in the seats. She sticks her feet out, boom, hits my son. He goes launching off in the water. That's one of my favorite days of fishing.
Thank you, Shaw. If you have something that you want to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now let's take a look at this week's Big Catch winner.
We are back at the Calaveras boat ramp near San Antonio, and it's time right now for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. She is Maggie McCarthy of Alvarado, Texas, showing 2 6-pound striped bass she caught at Lake Whitney, Texas. And here are a couple of bonus fish pictures from Whitney. Brian Harlan has a 16-pound striper. Dusty Curry has a 17 and a 15-pound blue catfish. Taylor Jackson has an 11-pound largemouth bass. And Alina Curry has a 6-pound largemouth, all from Lake Whitney. If you'd like to have you and your big fish shown on television, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Fox Sports Outdoors. Go to last Tuesday's post. It's about the Big Catch of the Week, and follow the instructions to post your big fish photo along with the details of the catch. If you'd like to make a trip here to Calaveras or Browning to try for some of these redfish or the big blue catfish like we caught today, you'll need to bring some medium-sized bass-type tackle for the redfish, and you'll need to bring some lipless rattling crankbaits like a Strike King Red Eye Shad or a medium running crankbait like a Strike King crankbait that runs anywhere from 10 to 15 feet deep in a shad or chrome pattern. For the catfish, you just need a simple Carolina rig, bring some bait shrimp or some cut bait, drift around and let it lay on the bottom down near the dam or off some of the points, and you'll have a great chance to catch some of the big blues like we caught. One of my buddies, who's ironically named Buddy Calzada, is a police officer at a large metropolitan city in the southwestern part of our region. He let me do a ride along the other day. I got to ride right in the front seat of his cruiser during an entire shift. Now, while I already had lots of respect for all of our law enforcement officials, I now have even more. While most of the folks he encountered during that 8-hour shift were very respectful, there were those select few that were just the opposite. They were rude, arrogant, and disrespectful. And I saw him handle his job in a very kind and gentle manner, even in the face of that kind of criticism. I don't think I could have done that. Our police officers and all of our law enforcement officials do a job that none of us would do, none of us would want to do, and they do it for very low pay. The very least we can do is give them all of the support and all of the encouragement we can possibly give them. Thanks for joining us here at Calaveras Lake in South Texas. If you'd like to make a trip here or to Lake Brownigan, go after some of these redfish or the catfish, you can contact Manny Martinez. The information you see on your screen, he'll put you in his boat, take you out, put you on some of these fish, and you'll have a great time. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.